All right, I showed 124 class last night, but it's primarily aimed at this class here. So the point here is the CCDC competition. The red team guy talked to him when it was over. He was the most interesting guy, and he said that people did not even adjust their infrastructure to match the requirements. Now, it wasn't this infrastructure, but it was something like this. So you had a network map, and it told you, like, this machine is doing HTTP and HTTPS, and this machine is doing DNS. And he said what you should have done was adjust the firewall to block everything else. And people didn't even do that. Then there's more you should do, like notice root logins. If someone else is logging in and it's not you, you should kick them out and things like that. So for the firewall part, I realized this is not covered in any of our classes, and it should be. So I wrote a project just to practice the firewall part, and I'm planning to extend it to handle the login part as well. And it's here. And this is, I call it Firewall Hero. So here's the point. In order for this to work, you have to have some services running that my scanner can detect. So there's a setup process here. In order to set it up, you have to have Python on your machine so it can run on anything. Any Mac, any Linux, and Windows you can install, including Windows Server. You can run Python. Then you download a file and unzip it, and you run a file that's called listen. So let me do it here on my Mac. I put it in my downloads folder. CD. Okay, and then Firewall Hero. Here's the files. And the one that matters is right now this listen one, listen.py. So you run that. I didn't get the right name in. .py. All right. There. Now it's complaining that I'm already running it because I left it running from the previous time in here, so that's fine. So that's now listening on a bunch of ports. Anything. And that's the point. You can practice anything. You can put any kind of software firewall. You could also have a hardware firewall in front, like pfSense. And all this is going to do is detect if you have blocked the ports. And that's why it should be practiced under many conditions. The Windows people should practice it with the Windows firewall, the Linux people with IP tables, the Mac people with PF, and everybody with things like Viata and other firewalls like Palo Alto. We should practice on a variety of conditions. So now that it's listening, the next thing is, since we're behind network address translation, my server can't see your ports. And this is almost always the case. So you have to run a VPN. There's OpenVPN, which also runs on every software. My server is an OpenVPN server, and one of these files is the configuration file you need. This one here called client.ovpn. That's all you need. You install OpenVPN, which is open source software. If you're on the Mac, the OpenVPN client is this thing here called TunnelBlick. And then you just run that file in this program, and now you will connect with a VPN. And there it is. There, now it's connected. See, now that I'm connected, now the server is one hop away. So you can go here and start a challenge. Now it will complain saying you must come in by a VPN. If you're behind network address translation, you can't do the project. If your VPN is connected, you can get here to the page. Now I'm on the same network as the server. And now I can do challenges. So here's a start. I start this one and it checks to make sure all ports are currently open. It's testing all these ports. So I have 28 ports that are open, and here's the challenge. Block these ports. You have to do it with any firewall at all, and when you're done, you get on the winner's board. Now for the Mac, the way to do it is with the PF firewall. So I have a file called pf.conf, and I added a bunch of lines at the end of this file that block ports, and anything I comment is unblocked. So I want everything unblocked except 69 and 5004. So I just have to... This is how I did it for a later challenge. When I was first doing these early challenges, I just have 1 or 2 lines here to block the ports I want to block. But in later challenges, it gets harder and harder to where it's useful to have your file set up like this. So this is on the Mac, how you block everything except 69, or how you block 69 and 5004 and you don't block anything else. So you save that file and then you run it with EVF. There we are. That's what will activate the firewall. So now that I've done that, I'm going to call this test 4 and start, and I win because it checked, and now those ports are blocked, but everything else is open. So there are this challenge, you block a few ports. This one, you block more ports, and you have to do it in 5 minutes. This one, you block even more ports, and you only have 1 minute to do it. But the next thing is here, which is getting more and more realistic to CCDC. And this one here, when you start this one, it's going to tell me that I'm not allowed to do it because my ports don't start open. So I have to turn off the firewall, which is PF Control -D on the Mac. Now I should get past the first step here. Okay, so here's how this one works. I don't tell you what ports to block. You have to monitor traffic. Like, remember you said, for the first 5 minutes, there's no attack. So whatever's happening then is good traffic. And after that, the attacks start coming in. So you have to monitor the traffic. Now, the easiest way to monitor traffic is to do netstat. Now, netstat works the same on Linux and Windows, pretty much. Netstat, come on, there. Netstat shows you too much information is too slow. So netstat -AN shows you everything, including listening ports, and it shows you numbers, so it's faster, but now it's too long. So what I want to do is I could put it to more. I think this will work, but the only thing I care about is established connections. I'm going to grep for established, because these are the people that have actually made a TCP connection and they're sending data to my machine. And
go ahead.
Is there
any way to do that across the entire Windows domain from
across what?
Can you do like a netstat command across an entire Windows domain from the domain controller and get licensing on every server on it?
No, that's a very good question. Yes, if you want to monitor the traffic on every machine from a central point, you have to set up something like Splunk that forwards logs. That would be the way to do it. Yeah, but that's right. This only measures the traffic at one point. Now, the thing I realized here is the only thing I care about is traffic from my server. So I'm only going to grep for 10.8.0.1 because I don't care about other connections. These are connections to the server. And right now there aren't any. And the last thing is, if you want this to be live, you can do it with watch. Watch is a good command available on Linux. And now it automatically refreshes every 2 seconds. So now this is monitoring my live network traffic. And see, the challenge here says, this will start the good traffic. You will get 10 seconds of good traffic. So when I do this, in comes the good traffic. So I can look at it and see it's 1812 and 143. Those are the only 2 ports that are actually being used. This is just a connection to load the web page.
What, 55 is 392?
Yes. So it's 1812 and I think 5093. I think I can just refresh this page to send it again. Yeah, 1812 and 143 are the ports that are in use. So I have to block them. So that is back in this file, 1812 and 143. I'll block everything except them. Yes, right. So now I have to do the opposite of what I have here. 1812 and 143, let's just do global search and replace, pound with nothing. That's going to block everything. Okay. And now 1812 and I want to let 143 through, and I want to let 1812 through. So I think I've got it set to do that. And so I have to turn on my firewall again. And now supposedly I'll call it test 4 again. And it works. So now I'm on the winners page of test 4. All right. So that's this one. And there are, again, 3 levels of it. This one here, as you see, you can block unused ports and you have forever. This one, you have more ports in 5 minutes. And this way, you have a lot more ports in 1 minute. And I'm going to have more here for the log monitoring. So cool. I know, so this is what we need. And you should be practicing it on different systems. Yeah. Like on your Windows machine behind the pfSense firewall, block this stuff on the firewall. Right. This is, I think, what we need. And I'm going to write more in this vein. And probably this will be the game I take to DEF CON and everything, where this will be the next hand-on workshop practicing these defense techniques. But anyway, it's specifically intended for CCDC.
Yeah.
And if anybody does it in the next week or two, it'll make you stronger at the next CCDC event. Okay.
The last call, what was like they give you the challenge?
So I'm going to stop this and save the video, I think.
Okay.
5 minutes to the
Yeah, so I was like, show